Hey everybody, I'm Jane, and this is the Medium Curious podcast. It's a Sunday solo edition, so I don't have the outrageous benefit of hanging around with Sarah Rathke. So you've got me, friends, and what are we going to talk about? What should we talk about? What do you want to talk about? I was thinking maybe we would spend some time talking about the power of intuition as a soothing and powerful agent, both for soothing, but also an agent of change. So, yeah, that's my topic. Are you in? Are you sticking around? I also want to talk today a little bit about states of enlightenment and consciousness raising and how we serve everyone around us by pushing ourselves in those directions. The minute pushing came out of my mouth, I was like, pushing? I don't know if pushing is the right word, but you get me. Inviting, aligning, and expecting some different states of consciousness and how that can bring us to places where we are of bigger, better service to everyone around us, not just our little families and the creatures we live with, but especially our neighborhood, our town, our nation, God willing. So let's start with intuition. And of course, a very big topic, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately because I find my conversations with sort of my higher self, sorry, I'm like editing as I speak today. My conversations with my higher self and my ability to engage with a self that is still on the other side, that didn't come and like tuck itself into a little body that has all the functions and all the madness of being a body, the part of my soul that's not here. And that's how I perceive it. And I think that's probably clear the way I just said it, but let me just say it again. Like, I believe that our souls are eternal and they go on and on and on and on. And it's a very big, very fun mystery as to how we came to be and how we will eventually go away. But my impression / philosophy is that there's a continuity of our soul's existence, and each lifetime is a little adventure, a little journey, a little kick in the butt, especially for those kids on earth right now. God bless us. So if that's true, and of course, as a human, I don't think I get to know what's true, but again, if you want to go with me, go with me. That being the case, I believe that we can chat to our higher self by engaging our higher self by being like, hey, what's up, higher self? Let's talk. And I believe that the higher self and the intuition are essentially one and the same. Although for me, what I'll say is when I speak to my higher self, which I do mostly in meditation or sort of in a very like conscious moment, I'm like, I am going to now check in with my higher self kind of vibe. Whereas my intuition is a constant like, like my intuition, I feel, is a little bit more embodied. So it's almost like my higher self has a loudspeaker in my body and my higher self speaks into my body with nudges and also in inventing and creating experiences and reflecting back to me inside of the 3D, inside of reality, answers that I seek. So here's a real world example. Okay. So I find myself smack dab in the middle of my 50s. I don't know where y'all sit. Maybe you're in the smack dab in the middle of your 20s or your 80s, but where I am, I'm 5'5" and loving my angel number year. And what that means for anyone in there 5'5" or above, there's a lot of like new and exciting medical situations, right? One of them being I had to go and get a calcium, what was it? It was like a heart calcium measurement, something like that. And I actually had to go get a CT scan in order for them to check out my heart. Okay. So now I was really hopeful that the number was going to come back 0. For those, if you know, you know, but 0 is the number you want, meaning there's nothing calcified in your heart. And for anyone else who might have the same problem I do, which is that all my cholesterol numbers are fabulous, except for the one they really don't like to be high is high. And so it pumps up my whole cholesterol and everyone gets upset and they want to put me on a statin and I don't want to be on a statin. So if I fall down with a heart attack next week, you'll be like, dude, you should have been on a statin. But anyway, I just don't want to. So it was exciting to go and get this test, because if it proved to be that magical 0, it meant that they could stop talking to me about statins, or at least that's my hope, right? So I was on my way to my test yesterday, and I tuned into my heart, which I would say is all part of the whole system, higher self, intuition, body, right? So I'm tuning directly into my heart, and I'm having a conversation with my heart. And I'm saying to my heart, listen, we need a 0 or something in the low side. What can you do? And I had the most hilarious experience where I imagined a little like cartoon heart. And I have to say, she had long eyelashes, and she's looking at me like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, yeah, like we need a 0, dude. Like we need it low. And she starts taking, this is what I saw and I heard. I'm sorry. This is just so funny to me. She like stuffed all the plaque like in the closets. She was like, okay, hold on. She's like shoving it under the couch. She's putting the plaque in the closet. She's like, okay. She's like, I could have used more notice, because this is me like driving to the hospital to get the test. And I was like, ooh, sorry. So anyway, I'm just literally laughing at myself as I drove to the test. And I won't tell you the result just yet. I'm going to leave you in suspense, because I did get it last night. So as I was arriving at the hospital and pulling into a parking spot and, starting to make my way inside, I was like, who is that? Like, who am I? Like, here is a relatively stressful situation. I mean, not ultimately very much, but it's somewhat, to be walking into a hospital to put on a gown and get in a big machine, right? I guess there's some stress there. And I'm like literally cracking up in the car, like laughing at my heart, doing antics and shenanigans, trying to clear out the plaque before the test. Okay, so I told my husband this story last night, and I was like, I think I've officially lost it. But I would actually argue, no, maybe I have totally found it, because back to the topic of intuition, that is sort of like a really sweet engagement that I got to have with myself, with like a conversation with my whole kind of body, higher self, intuition self, while on my way to a stressful event. And which, of course, instead of stressing, I was laughing and charmed, and also like really letting go of the result. Well, at the same time, I'm obviously trying to hypermanage it by tucking the plaque in the closet. I was also like, you know what? It is what it is. Like if things need to change, or God forbid I go on a statin, whatever, all is well. So I bring you that ridiculous story, to just share how ridiculous I am, but also maybe you're charmed by this, and maybe you can start having convos, with your heart or your bone marrow or your, I don't know, whatever. Like, the body is so fun to chat to, it turns out, and such a beautiful, powerful instrument of your intuition and of your life. It's your bitchin' little spacesuit, right? So anyway, what I'm saying and what I'm pitching here is that as I've continued to very intentionally develop my relationship with an inner voice, I think is another way to say it, my intuition, my higher self, it has gifted me so much peace. So that's the real premise here, is peace that is gifted with that conversation, with that clarity. So again, I have so many examples of this, but I'll bring you another one. Like, I recently had another amazing experience, which was my son is suddenly very interested in aviation and is actually going to flight school. And it's so fun and wild and wacky, honestly, and also highly expensive. So that's awesome. And he's working to get his private pilot license, and it'll probably happen before he gets his actual license, because he's dragging on the ground on the car license situation. But in any case, it's an exciting endeavor. And it's also, again, scary, stressful, like, whoa, is this safe? Is this a good idea? Is this, all the above? So we were driving down for his first flight, and this was about a week and a half ago. And I was checking in with my higher self, my intuition, and I was saying, good idea, team. bad idea? What are we doing? And I would offer too that I think that when I'm chatting to my inner self intuition, all the eyes, I also feel like I'm chatting to my guides. So it's almost like a Zoom call with all the like power players that are kind of comprised of my support crew. Um, so anyway, I'm like driving down and he's excited and so I have two questions in my mind. Good idea for him. And then also good idea for me. I was able to actually ride in the back of the plane and y'all, I don't know how many of you have ridden in a Cessna or a little Piper. They are tiny. This is not a large machine. It's like the size of a car inside, a smaller car. And then the wings, of course, not small, but whoa, I was so shocked by how small the whole situation was. Anyway, so I'm asking myself, and the way intuition and I have worked it out is if I am getting a yes, I will actually imagine in my third eye, sort of my clairvoyance will show 3 check marks, like, like the emoticon, like the check with the green one with the big white check. Okay, that's what it looks like. So I'm driving down and I'm like, good idea, bad idea. And I'm seeing 3 checks, good idea. I'm like, okay. So that again, peace, because I have to take that deeper breath. I go, okay. So this is a line. This feels good. This is for me. This is for him. This is a good school. This is a good pilot that he's flying with, like all the things, right? Then the next question is, shall I get in the back seat? And again, and sometimes it's hilarious because my sort of inner conversation can get funny, which kind of makes sense because I like things that are funny. And I will get like 3 checks plus. And I got like the big, like, confetti cannons going off in my inner mind. And I'm like, okay. So I get on this plane, y'all, and we do a sunset flight. And it was one of the coolest things I have ever experienced. One of the all-time greats. And I got to watch the kid. I'm getting a little emotional over here. I got to watch him do something that he was passionate about and be pretty darn successful because he's basically taking aviation courses at his high school, which is a big reason why we moved out this way. Another story for another time, but he has had 3 aviation classes in the last 2 semesters and a very, very, very cool teacher who was a pilot and then was also a CFI, a certified flight instructor. And I think he ran a whole flight instruction crew for this school previously to now. So it's a very special situation. And it was a moment. It was an absolute moment. And, who knows what will happen and who knows how this will all play out. But being up there for sunset, watching the moon rise, and I'll have to share some pictures in Instagram for y'all to see. It was something. And I'll just add as I close down this little story is that as we were driving back home after this flight, and it was like, geez, it was like 10 o'clock at night. He had school the next day. It was a whole thing. He said, I found it. I found the thing. I found the thing that I'm supposed to do. Boo-hoo. I'm going to cry some more. And again, more will be revealed, right? And it's not an easy path, but he's going to start taking flying lessons next week. So it's kind of a good metaphor, right? Like that search, I think many of us, all of us are on for the thing we're supposed to do and what we're meant to do on this earth is such a profound question. And I often encounter that when I get the benefit and the sweet opportunity to go into the Akashic records for folks. It's often kind of our first question was like, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Am I on the right path? Is this my dharma? And, again, TBD on what really happens here, but to sort of imagine that I glimpsed that moment for a person who I happened to have a big hand in bringing to this earth was special. And especially as a mom who, I run my own fear, I run my own mama fear, and my sweet husband is deeply afraid of heights. I don't know if he'll ever get in one of these little planes with him. It was something. It was a whole thing. So I guess that's really what I'm saying is like, as we come online, as we tune into our intuition, as we learn how to hear, trust, and abide by what we hear from our higher selves, our lives just expand and glow and just become more and more gorgeous. And of course, I'm speaking from my own experience, and that has absolutely been my experience. And as you all know, if you've been listening to this for a while, and if you don't, I'll just share briefly that I had a very loud inner voice coming through about 4 years ago that was really clear that I needed to leave my job and do the medium thing full time. And I didn't even know what that meant. Like, just do readings, teach what? I don't know. I didn't even know. I just knew that it was time for me to move on from my big filmmaking career and co-owning a company to coming over to kind of a mystery school, the school of, can I talk to people on the other side as a living? And how shall I make a podcast? Question mark, like all of it. So that being my journey and it being absolutely driven and alighted by an inner voice that was so loud, so loud. So that's it, man. That's why I want this for all of us. I want our intuition to be the loudest voice in the room. And something that's been coming up lately, both with some guests that we've been having on, and for some things I've just been listening to as I walk the hills here, is this way that we are able to hear our inner voice, our intuition, our guides, when we actually spend time in silence. And it's funny how like silence is sometimes like the hardest thing you'll do. Weirdly, it's so peaceful, it's so delicious, but yet it's tricky. It's hard to find. It's not the first thing you're going to step towards, And one of the things I was talking with one of our guests who I'm really excited about, y'all. I don't know if y'all know the Paradigm Experience, the podcast. Segi said is kind of his handle, and his name is Jordan. Anyway, he's a guest I interviewed this week, and we were talking a lot about essentially our own energy sovereignty, but also kind of mental sovereignty, and how the world at large and the algorithms and all the stuff that wants our attention pulls us and kind of yanks us around and demands our attention through all the forms, right? The phone, the TV, the computer in front of us. We're just constantly digitally pulled around. And so this enhancing and engaging the inner voice requires space from that. And it requires that meditation that we talk about a lot here. It requires silence. Yeah. And really consciously deciding that we're going to unengage from the noise and the static and the pull of the algorithm. And and part of what's really cool about the Segi Said accounts and what Jordan's up to is that he has these somewhat hilarious and powerful conversations with AI. And one of the things that caught my eye recently was he said that he asked AI what it was, what its goal was. Like, if the three dads of the three, key AIs were to say what they want their kids to be when they grow up. And what AI responded to him with was that they wanted to be our first resource, the place we go to get our questions answered. Oh, God. And it's not true, right? Whether it's the Google AI that's automatically popping up now, or the AI accounts that some of us have, or we've stopped paying for them, of course, but might still go to AI to ask a question or solve a problem. But what I'm pitching here is that our inner self, I can't obviously find a single word for what I'm trying to say here, our intuition, our higher self is way more interesting than the AI answer. And PS has the same access to the everything that AI does. So I like to call it II, the infinite intelligence. But in order to have the software to ask the question and trust the answer, we have to sit quietly and chat to it, test the answers, test our hypothesis. And okay, now I'm going to reveal what happened with my calcium score. So, well, like I said, my cholesterol numbers are cuckoo pants. They're not good. They're a little bit off the charts. And I was a little nervous. Okay. I was a little nervous. And like, I don't know. I just feel like I've been such a healthy gal. I'm such a hippie. Like it's always struck me as strange that my cholesterol is so weird. And this has been going on for about 2 or 3 years since the pandemic. And so I don't know. I have a tiny theory about it with having to do with the pandemic. But in any case, I was, yeah, like I said, I was a little bit nervous. And so I'm just looking at my cholesterol numbers so I can tell you the truth, but it's not easy to find. Came back as abnormal as, get this, 242. That's high. They don't like that number. But my other, so like my HDL, fine. It's just my LDL is high, like very high. And my blood pressure, perfect. My pulse, awesome. Like all the other metrics are just totally fine. So what is that, right? And so again, back to the test result. This little bit, this little calcium number was a big deal. I am so happy to report that the number I got back was 0. The perfect result, especially for a 5'5" lady. So anyway, I'm so stoked. And my little heart did such a good job of tucking away all the plaque. I mean, I don't even know, y'all. Sorry, that story just cracks me up. But again, well, in a way, it's kind of like a great example. Like I was reassured by this conversation I was having with my heart that it was going to be low. I heard more like 1 or 2, which was still going to be a totally fine result. But when it came back 0, I was like, "Damn, good job, heart! Way to sock it away," you know. So anyway, all that to say, I just, man, I just want this for you. I want this for you. I want you to have this kind of access. By the way, I have to give a tiny shout out to Steve, who is the physician who is in my cohort right now. I'm just sure you're cracking up about my animated heart talking to me about my calcium score. But anyway, so that just wanted to say hello to Steve because I know you're listening. And also, for anyone who really wants to have better, clear access to their higher self, I am running another cohort that is starting in July. So if you are interested in getting some tools on board and getting the chance to go deeper on all of these I words, it was intuition, infinite intelligence. It is just the chance to be in communication with these forces that love you and have easy, clear communication and be able to track it and see the results. So to get that 0 after my heart reassured me I would be low, brilliant. And to have my checks come through for the ride that we took the other night in that tiny Piper plane, really, what a beautiful result. Just a couple of tiny examples, but the biggest one for me is knowing that inner voice was something to abide by 4 years ago, and for my life to have flowered into something so exquisite and extraordinary now, with the benefit of partnering with Sarah on this podcast, which I love so much, and I love her more than I could ever say, and the beautiful people that I'm working with in the cohorts, who again I love more than I could ever say, and the sweethearts in Claire Club, y'all are just the best. So anyway, a little shout out here at the end, but I love y'all. And also the last thing I want to say about why it's valuable and a smart thing to pursue this line of questioning and this line of thinking and this line of work of raising your consciousness, because that is what happens ultimately as you start to tune in and go silent and really hear the truth of your inner voice speaking to you and have the joy that comes from aligning with that voice, it means that you're vibrating at a higher frequency, that you're being a force for good in the world. And I wanted to share this cool bunch of stats that our little cohort was discovering through a Wayne Dyer book that we were all studying, The Power of Intention. It was written 20 years ago or 22 years ago in 2004. So the numbers are not going to necessarily match, but there's something so powerful that I want to share here. So as you think about what you're doing and your desire to knowing God consciousness and raising your frequency, listen to this. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of optimism and a willingness to be non-judgmental of others will counterbalance the negativity of 90,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. Whoa. So this is you. This is you working to vibrate at that higher optimistic place, a willingness to drop your judgment, and you have just counterbalanced 90,000 individuals who are mad. And then an individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of pure love and reverence for all life will counterbalance the negativity of 750,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower levels. Whoa. And here's the thing, you don't have to do this all the time. You don't have to be pure love and reverence for all life all day long, because most of us aren't. But anytime you pull it and hold it and like really, really sit in it, you're doing that. You are powerfully engaging the everything in a way that is incredible service. And I'll give you one more of these quotes. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of grace, pure spirit beyond the body, and a world of non-duality or complete oneness will counterbalance the negativity of 70 million people who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. So this is the thing I was saying before. In the book, he writes approximately 10 such sages are alive today. And when we were having our discussion on our book club for my cohort beauties, I think the number is quite a bit higher. Like there's 100 of these sages alive today. I don't know. And I don't know how one knows. I guess you just ask the everything, right? So let's go with 100. Anyway, so you can imagine that this work, sometimes, especially in the face of the difficulties that the world is facing and the sort of terrible things that keep happening, it feels like, what can I do? What can I do? How can I help? And so that I wanted to bring y'all that. I wanted to say this self-inquiry, this work, this sitting in the silence, being uncomfortable, facing your stuff, working through it. All of this work is profoundly affecting and is a profound influence and a beautiful way to be a resource on this earth silently. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring y'all today. And I really, really hope it's helpful. I hope this podcast is helpful to y'all. As always, we would love it if you would rate it and share it. Mostly share it. Share it with your friends. We're building a community here, and we love you more than we can say. So I hope you have a fantastic week. Happy summer. If you're listening to this at the time it drops, it is going to be a beautiful Sunday, early June in 2026. But whenever you hear this, I hope you're having a super special day and lots of love.
Very Soul is our sponsor for Medium Curious. Jane and I are both Very Soul mediums.
Oh, yes, we are. verysoul.com, y'all. Inspired by spirit, guided by love, and brought to life by mediums.